All right. Well, welcome, Mel. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on Your True Self. This is, I'm Deb Courtney, debcourtney.com. And today I've got Mel sharing with us about Mel Milford, that is. I'd just like to give you your full name so people know how to look you up. And so I met Mel, 3-4 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, would have been, Deb.
About that, Mel's got some great advice and tips on how to, kind of stay active, working and keeping healthy and fit, as well as being a mum and juggling life as it can be. So I just really wanted to get you onto Your True Self and share some of your story, Mel, and how you've overcome things. What sort of directions and paths have you found helpful? What have you taken? Which way have you gone? Because life isn't always smooth. In fact, it really is. I guess it's more how we actually handle life that we gets us to where we go. So it's our reactions and our perceptions. So I'd love to, if you could introduce yourself a little bit and explain to the viewers where you've come from.
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you, Deb, for having me. It's a real honour to be able to be here and talking to your audience. I'm, as Deb said, I do a lot of roles. I juggle a lot of hats. So I've been pretty much the consistent theme in my life. I have been really lucky in that health and wellness has always been sort of that inner passion of mine, which I guess has been that theme right throughout. From, when I was very young, it was always the industry that I wanted to be in. And, now being a mum, it's definitely something that really, I guess, leads the way for me to be influenced in becoming a mum, and the way that we, work as a family unit, and the values, which are really important for me to be trying to instill, in the kids of, the next generation, which is always really important. It certainly has evolved and changed over time, as you do, with any journey. It doesn't always end up the way that you first started out, which has certainly been the case for me, but that's all part of the journey. That's all part of the excitement of evolving, and through gaining extra knowledge and insights from the people that you choose to surround yourself with, the people that you choose to mentor you, the life experiences that you have, it really does mold and twists and turns of, the journey, is really influenced by that. And I guess I started off really being in awe of the body. And so I guess my journey started from a kind of really physical perspective, really appreciating the body in how it moves from that kind of real structural perspective. But then as I went through that first part of my journey doing that at uni, we did some topics around sports psychology, and I was just like, wow, I didn't really fully appreciate how the mind can actually really impact the quality of our performance and how we recover, and just that link and that cause and effect of the mind and the physical relationship. So again, that sort of set me off on a bit of a turn, and really being fascinated from that perspective. So I went and studied psychology, which was great, but really clinical. And so it wasn't quite what I was expecting, and wasn't really the love that I'd gotten of doing the sports psychology. It kind of deflated a bit when I went and actually did the psychology, course, graduate diploma at uni, because it was really clinical, and that's not really the setting which I wanted to pursue. I wanted it to be more practical. I wanted it to be more everyday life. I wanted it to be impacting people in their quality of lifestyle. So I kept exploring, I kept learning more, and I found sports kinesiology. And for me, that just really brought all the layers together. And I realized that the body is just so much more than the physical structure and the way it functions, our emotional body, our energetic body, the way that we vibrate, our spiritual being or our essence. You know, these are all layers of our being. And so my passion has really turned to being able to help people to navigate this integration of the different layers of our body and how they interact and how you can work with them to really look at all of the layers of your being collectively, so that way you can get a lot more in deep connection with yourself and understanding yourself from a much broader perspective, and how you can work with these layers together to have better outcomes, a better quality of lifestyle, and help better navigate all the change and the challenges that we all inevitably face in our life. And so that's sort of a bit of a shorter, version of navigating from where I started to, some of the primary things that I'm really passionate about these days.
So when you first started, you knew right from a young age, you said that, you're interested about the body, and I think it's the most fascinating machine you could ever come across.
Absolutely.
What drove you to keep following that? Because we know that we can think of things, and sometimes, we want to be a ballet dancer, ballerina when we're young, but you really knew. Why is it that you felt so strong about where you wanted to go?
Well, I guess I always moved my own body. I did dance for 11 years from when I was very, very young all the way up till pretty much the end of school. And so I really enjoyed moving my body, and I enjoyed the performing aspect of it and the competing aspect of, trying to get to that, that level where you're really at your best and you're physically at your best to be able to perform the best. And to a total opposite of that, I really loved rugby league, and we'd be here at Newcastle and going to the Knights games. And I would love just sitting on the hill and really appreciating, again, the body and what it can do when you're there performing. And I just really had this passion of, just thinking, I'd be sitting on the hill there as a kid, just thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to help people or a team just really be able to achieve their best? And again, I was already kind of thinking about the psychology of things, if teams were down or teams were winning or whatever, I'd be sitting there thinking, like if I was the coach, what would I be saying? Or, to help turn things around, how to get, these players or, them gel together. Or like I was always just really fascinated about that performance dynamics, from that mental side of things to the physical side of things. And so that's really where I wanted to be. In the early days, I wanted to be working, from a sports performance level in the sort of strength and conditioning field. And then when the psychology naturally come into that with the degree that I did, and I sort of already had that, I guess that little bit of insight, I was really interested in combining the two. But like I said, when I did the psychology, it really wasn't from that perspective. So it wasn't until then I got into the kinesiology, and it was then just about how you bring the emotions into the body, and that's how it affects performance. And, the different ways that you can use the muscle testing, and you really understand the body from, which was more so than what we'd done in the uni degree, is how that muscles actually work more together from in the fascial trains, and the way that muscles are actually grouped in lines of pull, which I just found really, really fascinating. And so for me, it was that wanting to work in performance. And so I worked with rugby league teams for about 10 years once I was out of uni and doing my kinesiology degree. So that was where my kind of first love really sort of come into it. And then I guess it just evolved, and I was doing a lot of PT then for myself with the teams and working with people. But at the end of the day, it just come to a point where I was kind of like, it's so much more than this. And there are a lot of great people out there working from this perspective, from the movement perspective. I wanted to help people more. I wanted to help people really work with integrating the layers, in working with their actual habits and the process of refining habits and being able to, navigate the changes, as opposed to just telling them what exercises to do. Because for me, I think that movement is so much more than getting fit and losing weight. And I think that we can use physically activating our body and moving our body for so much more. We can stimulate our lymphatic system to help support our immune system. It supports our digestion. It can lift our energy and change our mood. It can do so much. And people just really don't, I think, appreciate our bodies in the way that those layers integrate and cause and effect with each other. And so I guess that's where I kind of slightly stepped away from doing those more, fitnessy, strength and conditioning kind of roles, because I really wanted to then focus on those other areas, because I didn't feel there was as much support for people in those areas that I really wanted to try and, I guess, fill that, that void to be able to help people in those ways.
Right. And so, it's not the most conventional path to go down, especially for a woman. Now I'm a bit older than you, so back in those days, that wasn't really a path people went down, or females in particular, and also the whole psychology connection, mind-body connection back then wasn't much of a thing or a known quantity or entity. I don't know if we really do know it still, but
yeah.
How did you find, and who was your biggest support, and who did you look towards to help keep you going?
Well, I guess, there was an internal drive that really kept me going, but I must admit that I happened to be really fortunate in that the very first team that I worked for, I was really lucky that the coach, the manager, and the captain were really accepting of me, even though I was a woman. So I was really lucky that first year I was really, really well accepted, and they were all very much, you're part of the team, regardless. Like, I was just a part of the team. So that it was really made a big difference that first year I had a really good experience, because it certainly did come up as issues at other times later on in my career where, people weren't overjoyed that I was a woman, or they definitely, didn't put me on the same level as other people in the positions because I was a woman. And so it definitely, was hard to take, but I guess because I'd started off on that good note, it sort of helped me later on be like, well, that not everybody is like that. Where if that had have been my first experience, it could have been very, very different to how long I stayed in that industry, and, the different clubs that I, was lucky enough to be a part of. If I hadn't have had that good experience first up. So I will always be grateful to those, 3 guys who I really looked up to, who really knew a lot about the game and who really embraced, me being involved on all levels with them as a team. So I was really, really lucky and fortunate to be involved with those 3 guys in that first year. And so that really gave me that kick then to keep going and, try and navigate the ups and downs, throughout that kind of 10-year career a lot easier because of, those 3 guys.
Yeah. And so you were doing kinesiology then with them? Sports kinesiology?
Not in that first year. That happened a couple of years later on. Probably once I think it was about 4 years after I'd just been doing the conditioning. And then I spent like 2 and a bit years concurrently where I was, integrating as I was learning, that I was doing it throughout for those couple of years. And then after that for another few years.
How did they accept that? Did they think you're a bit woo-woo, a bit weird?
Yeah, a little bit. I did have to do a little work, because even, like I said before, even the way that I approached weight training and the actual physical side of things actually changed a lot after I did the kinesiology. But the one thing that I must admit that that really did help is that I was always very open in saying, look, I don't expect you, any of the guys, to do this, because I'm just saying, I'm here, I'm your strength and conditioning coach, and you need to do this. If you want to question me why I'm saying I think you should do this, I will give you my reason. And I would say, look, I know that you would normally do it like this. I'm telling you to try it like this for this reason, and connecting it back to their bodies, the way that their bodies work, the way that their bodies move whilst they're playing, so that way they could kind of hopefully see why I'm saying, try doing these things a little bit differently. I was never just saying, hey, I'm in charge here, you get in and do this. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was always very open in saying, just talk to me. Like, I will tell you why I'm asking you to do it differently. Here's my reasons. So that way, I think that communication, and that I've always been one that thinks that people will do better if they understand better. Nobody just likes being told things, but I think if you can have an understanding and appreciation of how these things work, you are in a better position to feel empowered to go and then do things on your own. Like as a personal trainer or as a strength and conditioner, like my job is so that people can go and do things when they're not with me. You know what I mean? It's not just about them turning up and doing a session with me. I always felt that my role was to empower people to better understand their own body so that they could feel confident when they weren't with me. So that way, when people go on holidays, they can still train, or they go away for work and they can still train, or they move away and they can still do things until they find another trainer somewhere else that can help them. I don't like, hearing people say all of these excuses. Oh, but I'm going around doing this. Well, that's not me doing my job right. If people can still come up with all of these excuses, because that's disempowering for people. And I don't like people putting themselves in positions where they're not feeling empowered. I like people to think that they can stand up and make positive choices, and they've got the knowledge and they've got the confidence to be able to tackle those things that's going to help keep them moving forward towards their goals. To me, that's what health and wellness is all about. It's about feeling empowered that you are actually becoming more and more and more of an expert in your own body, in how it works, how it performs, how the little things that you just know are right for you. Any fitness program, any eating guidelines, anything that anybody ever gives you that is like, do this, 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 and this, and this, and this. If you remember one thing from this conversation, it should be this. It is only ever a starting point, because you need to put you into those guidelines. You need to put your unique body, your unique lifestyle needs to fit, or that needs to fit in with what you are doing. So please only ever see these things as a starting point that you need to then take action and give it a try, get feedback from your body as to how that made you feel, and then refine it. Then make it your own so that it is the most effective and the most efficient for you and where you are right now, which is also going to change because we are constantly changing, evolving. So then you need to keep taking action, getting feedback and refining it all the way down the line.
Yeah. Perfect. And that, when you look at it from that perspective as well, it's about, like, for me, the idea of diet is not even something it's not even a word I use.
It's not even a word at all, is it?
if you can't maintain it into a lifestyle, then it is too hard, and then you just keep getting the peaks and troughs. And so it needs to be something that you can actually work around who you are, and the sorts of work that you do, and the sorts of places that you go, and being able to, from, like, it's the principles of things. Like, if you can teach a principle at something, that's the core essence of what you're doing, but that's the principle. You need to be able to adapt it to wherever you are, so that when you do go out to a restaurant, oh, what can I eat? Oh, I know the principles of what I should eat, and I can find the closest thing on there, so it's something that you need to do. So what you're doing there with them is really teaching them the principles so that they can then adapt it accordingly, but still following the principles of what they're trying to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, perfectly said, Deb. That's exactly right. And I think that's where people really find their power, because they have those principles, they have that foundation that can empower them in those situations. When you're dealing with change, when you change your job, when you move house, when you go to the restaurant, when you go away on holidays, you can still feel empowered in those situations. That, yes, you can be a little easy on yourself and allow you to work into those new, patterns, and while you're perfecting it, but you can still at least confidently know that you've got it, that you can navigate it, rather than just throwing your hands up in the air going, it's all too hard, I'll just do whatever, or I'll just do what they're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to do. You don't want to leave choices with your health and wellness up to somebody else. You've got to make sure that that power stays in your hands, because your choices are going to create your results. So you want to make sure that you own those choices wherever possible.
And we're all made up differently. We're all respond to things differently. Our bodies respond to things differently. Our belief systems and patterns are different. So how we actually go about things is going to be a bit different. So we need to be empowered about what we're doing, because what a whole blanket approach does not work. It doesn't work for anyone, for anything. But yeah, having those principles. So tell me a little bit about what the kinesiology and that mind-body connection, because I think it still can be something that's a little bit out there or not understood, or depending what train of thought you go down, might not seem believable. From my perspective, I've seen it happen in disease process, even the dying process, and that connection with spirit. So let me know what you think.
Well, look, it was a really amazing process going through that course, and I learned a lot about myself, which is wonderful, and it's all part of the journey. All of these things should make us get to know ourselves more. And I think one of the things that really stood out to me was that your body knows, and your body has the answers. And so, kinesiology, a lot of the information or some of the information is found through the muscle testing process. So it's basically using your muscles to be able to get an indication around, different stimuli or different inputs, so that your body can see whether or not there is any sort of stress in relation to that input, that emotion, that any sort of, stimuli within the body. And so it really highlighted the fact that, well, your body just has so much inner knowing as to what really is right for you. And then it takes it a step further and goes, well, your body even knows what is then right to correct that and to heal, that you can then ask the body, or you can sample, I guess you could say, different treatment modalities to then what agrees with that particular individual person. Because again, we're all unique, we're all different. What may work beautifully for one person does not work for somebody else. So it really, I found that allows you to really tap into that individual being, to find the root causes, because we could all have a sore knee We could all display signs of having a sore knee, but we may all have a sore knee for a different reason. And so that's where I found that by using the different tools and testing strategies with kinesiology, that it could really help go down further to find the root cause and go, okay, I might have a sore knee, because I've got some emotional stuff that's, blocked and I'm having it, that sore knee for that reason, where somebody else, it could be more mechanical, it could be more a postural thing, that needs to be addressed. It may not be that the knee may be displaying the signs of the pain, but the issue may be further up in the hip. And so then it allows you then to start investigating around the hip. So I just found that it was really treating the body as a whole, and you could look at the structure of the body as a whole. You could look at the emotional body as a whole. You could look at the way that the body functions and how, being distressed in the intestines or something like that could then show symptoms in the outer body. And then you could, either navigate forward or backwards from that to, again, support people in a more profound way when you start using these systems together. And then you can start healing your body. And I think that's one thing that people on a whole don't fully understand, how magical our bodies are and their capabilities to heal when we breathe properly, when we are hydrated, when we can work on our emotional pain and look to overcome our fears or our limiting beliefs or the blockages or, past traumas. When we can be healing from some of these things and we can work on that emotional body, or we can use different tools like Reiki or holding the different, meridian points, like what you would in acupuncture with a needle. In kinesiology, we would just hold various points and allow that energy in working with somebody to enhance, to stimulate their own energy in these parts of the body to then help initiate or begin that healing process. And that's where I just saw the body from a whole new perspective. And I just was like, oh my goodness, it's not just amazing with how the muscles work and they attach to the bones and they move and, your body's amazing in the actual way that the functions, the digestion and the circulatory system, and they're all amazing. But then all of this other stuff is like, we are so magical. We are so powerful. Our energy is powerful when we can really lift our vibration. Like, we are such magical beings. And I think if we can tap into that more ourselves and help other people to do the same, we are just capable of so much. And so that's where, doing the kinesiology really just set me on a path of just being in total awe of how those systems integrate. And, it's still something that I'm continually learning, ever since that time, different aspects of ways that we can heal, ways that we can, utilize our energy. I've sort of, even from a movement perspective, now I'm doing movement with things like the chakras, and not only can we activate those with sound, with color, with our intentions, I'm trying to take it a step further and adding on to that with being able to activate and, I guess, solidify that energy within our bodies through movement. The same with the elements and our meridian systems. Physical activation is another layer which we can play off when we're looking at all of these incredible aspects of our energetic and our vibration within our bodies, which I think's really exciting that this is, I guess, becoming a little bit more, it's good that it's becoming a little bit more common. There's more people talking about it. There's, more books on it. There's, and it really does warrant, more people having conversations in this area, because I think it really can empower a lot of people when you start looking at yourself and exploring those aspects of yourself.
Yeah, good. And so talking about raising vibrations, what do you do to try and raise your vibrations? I think a lot of us have been in a fairly negative energy vibration going on for a couple of years. What do you do to help raise yours and your families?
Well, we actually do a lot of different things. Sometimes we use the tuning forks. I have tuning forks which go with all of the chakras. So sometimes, the kids love them. Obviously, they love grabbing something and making some noise. So we often use the tuning forks just to sit and just tap them. I just let them pick the ones that they want. Sometimes we hold them in the chakras that they resonate with to help with the vibration. Sometimes it can be as simple as conscious breathing. I find personally that one of the points in my body where I tend to feel first and feel strongest my personal energy is in my hands. So for me, just breathing into that space and just bringing my attention to my hands and to my breath, I will just start to feel the tingling in my fingers and in my hands and just feel that energy. And so for me, that's something that can really then just lift in then through the whole body. And again, you can consciously then direct that energy that you are starting to build in your hands to come into your hands and through the rest of your body. So that can be a really simple one. And I think that's a really good one too for people, just to be able to start feeling their own magic, feeling their own energy and what that experience is like for them. Because I think once you can start tapping into that, then you can start again, having that as another tool to empower you in situations when you're feeling a little bit, down and out, or okay, I'm not feeling in a great place now. What can I do? Tap into your own energy. Just sit and just allow your own magic to lift up, to rise, to then be absorbed into your body. Another thing that you can do is tapping around the body, and you can do it like this, you can do it like this, and just all over your body. Again, it starts to then lift that vibration, and you'll start to feel that tingling, that buzzing right through your body. I like to back that up with some lymphatic rubbing. So I just get my knuckles and I just rub the outsides of the thighs, the insides of the thighs, all through the ribs. You just really get in like this, or your fingers get in between your ribs, and obviously down lower in your ribs, and that really just lifts your energy. Again, you get that feeling and that sensation start to rise in your body, that then you can kind of just soak it in, take a few deep breaths, and just allow your body to just sit in that higher vibration, that tingliness, in that feeling your own energy, that energy body which you are just increasing around you, so that then you can kind of reset that intention and carry on through your day. Because again, it's all about feeling empowered. There's no good feeling shit and knowing you're feeling shit and then not doing anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, you're just perpetuating this, and then you're not showing up at your best at work. You're not showing up for you. You're not showing up for your family, your kids, whatever it is that you are doing. You're not going to be showing up if you are not in the best place. And so for me, they're kind of really easy things that if I'm not in a good place, I do, or if I can see the kids are not in a good place, then, just doing a few things like that can really make a big difference to getting the day back on track and then moving forward from a much better place.
Oh, fantastic. Well, there's some good ideas for people to try. And that's, I guess being that self-awareness of, all right, I know. And when you're more aware of what's going on, you can acknowledge and Acknowledge that you're not in a good place right now, but also know that you can get yourself out of that. And that's that, I guess, that whole feedback, listening to your body, and the more aware you are of your body, of your mind, that level of awareness that increases is it helps you, guide you and change tact to suit you better. But if you're in that lower level of awareness, you're not going to kind of take on those sorts of things. So it's about getting your level of awareness up, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just need to acknowledge, like, no one's going to be happy 24/7. Like, it's just not the way that life goes. You know, we know that there's going to be times when, you know, things affect us a little bit, or we're not just in the right place, and that's okay. It happens to everybody. But like you say, when you have that level of awareness and you've got these tools at your disposal, that at least then you can do something about it and go, okay, I'm feeling upset. You know, again, depending on how deep you want to go, you can always add to these things. You know, consciously trying to let go. If you know why you're not feeling well, if you've had an argument or a conversation with somebody that's left you upset, or somebody cut you off on the road, or whatever is happening, you know what I mean? That you can just then consciously go, okay, I acknowledge I'm in a bad mood because X, Y, or Z happened, and I'm going to choose to acknowledge that and release that, because I know that by holding on to that, I'm not going to be a real happy mum around my kids. And then they're not going to be real happy, and I'm going to regret it for the rest of the night. So, you know, then you can add that into any work that you are doing and just breathe it out. You can stomp it out. You can punch it out safely, of course. But, you know, again, these are all tools and strategies that you can use movement. We got some, you know, African drums. Sometimes it's nice just to sit and hit the drums, and then you get the little bit of sound healing. You get that little bit of physical work to hit it out. Again, it's a great one for the kids too, because they just, you know, they love banging away on the little drum. Yeah, that's right. So again, it's, you know, physical movement can be so healing when we allow ourselves to express those things, you know, in different ways. And so that's, you know, that's why I guess right now it's one of the things I'm most passionate about, is because moving our bodies is not just for weight loss and fitness. It can help us release those emotions. It can help us heal. It can help us to lift our energy and vibration in so many easy ways. You know, you could be banging on the table if you don't have the drums. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need fancy equipment to be doing this stuff. It's nice, but again, you can do it and you can hit a pillow. You know what I mean? That's what we did with our kids when they were little. You're really feeling cranky, go and hit that pillow. So we as adults could still be doing that. We could still be hitting pillows if, you know, if that's going to be an outlet for that emotion, so that it's not going to stay inside of us. You know, we can acknowledge it and then use that as a release, so that then it doesn't have to be inside of us anymore. And then we can, you know, heal that little part of us. And then, you know, take a few deep breaths, feel your magic, you know, get back to a better place, you know, because you deserve it. You deserve to be in the best possible place and living your best life, you know, and so do, you know, the people around you, or the people that you are serving, the people that you are turning up every day to inspire, or, you know, whatever's important in your life helps you go out and be the best version that you can be in that.
So could you see a connection there? Like we say, you know, talking about going, banging it out, trying to find yourself to feel better, and you know, the whole weight loss thing. Now, there could be that connection there when you're feeling better and feeling in a different state, that there's that release, and the release of toxins, and you're less likely to build up the toxins. So in fact, there could be a byproduct that your weight starts to improve anyway. do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there was a book that I was reading, and I haven't actually looked up this study myself, and he was talking about a study in which they spoke to two different lots of people doing house cleaning. And they did a survey saying, how many times do you exercise a week? One of the groups, they just did that, gave them the survey, and then they kept working as per normal. The other group, they simply said to them, do you realize that by doing your job, you are exercising, you're burning calories, you're getting fitter and stronger? They only physically, verbally told them that. And then they went off and did that. That group actually lost weight only by being told that they were doing exercise as part of their job, because none of them, when filling out the initial survey, connected their job to physical activity and doing the job. So, to me, that's like, wow, that's just the perfect example of how we perceive moving our bodies can affect the outcome. And it's the same with when you look at, your body is holding on to excess fat, sometimes excess fluid, but when you're holding on to those things, it's like a metaphor. We're holding out toxins because our body is trying to keep them away from our vital organs. So it's pushing them as far away as it can, which is, under the skin, which is where, a lot of our fat sits. So it's storing toxins that we're trying to keep away. It's storing and holding on tight to those emotions, particularly if they're emotions where we don't love ourselves, we don't like the way we look, and we've got all this negativity associated with it. It's all being held into our bodies. But if we can give ourselves permission to then move and open up our bodies more to the process, and being open or being aware really that you are physically activating your body every day. It should be every day. And this is where, again, it's about that acknowledging that movement is more than just going to the gym. It's not saying that you have to go to the gym and train or exercise every day. You are just physically activating your body. When you do the lymphatic rubbing, you are helping you to stimulate the fluid through your body. When you get more flow through that body, if you do happen to have excess fluid, you're going to help be pushing that through the body, which is going to help it's going to help the removal of toxins as well. When you can allow your body to just, go for a walk, when you are cleaning, when you are doing stuff with the kids, if you are just in that mindset that physical activation is helping your body to flow, it's helping you move towards your goals, whatever they may be. But if you are just in that mindset, that every day, that every step, that every time you are doing something, moving your body, it's another step, it's another step, it's another step. I mean, how many times are you reinforcing in the day that that's another step, another step? You're not just going 2 times a week or 3 times a week at the gym. You know what I mean? There's a perception that that's the only time that you are working towards your goals. If you are consciously breathing and breathing more oxygen into your body and lifting your vibration, you know what I mean? You're working towards your goals. When you're having a glass of water and keeping hydrated, you're working towards your goals. When you're doing any sort of, if you're taking nutritional support, you're working towards your goals. Anything that you are doing, the more that you can be laying that love on yourself, that you are worthy of doing 1,000 things a day. Heaven forbid, 1,000 things a day to be working towards your goals, because it's every step, it's every little action that you are taking is working towards your goals. It makes a massive difference when you start opening yourself up to that new idea than just, I go 2 to 3 times at the week if I can. Sometimes it's only once a week. And then you just small, you've got such that small mindset. You're holding on to all of those emotions and all of that all of the toxins and all of the everything, you're just holding it on, and you're only thinking to yourself, it's only once a week I'm doing anything to do this, as opposed to hundreds and hundreds of things a day with all of the actions that you are doing. You just open yourself up to getting so much better results across more aspects of your life. And when you start feeling better, you start taking more action, you start enjoying the journey more, which means you want to be doing more things. We never want to continue doing anything we don't enjoy. So you've got to find ways to enjoy. And who's not going to enjoy the fact that they're doing hundreds of little things every day to help make them feel the best that they can and work towards their goals? Once you start shifting that mindset and that perspective, it really makes a massive difference to how you get through your day.
I just put myself on mute because I've got a washing, I don't know if you can hear it in the background. My washing machine's decided to go on spin cycle, and I didn't shut the door, and I hadn't realised it was on. So hopefully you can't hear it in the background, everyone. That's the world of working from home and
absolutely,
and the washing machine's going. It's quite loud to me, but hopefully it's not loud to everyone else.
So good, Deb.
But that's fantastic, and I love that concept. I love that idea, and I think the best, one of the best decisions I made. I grew up going to the gym, and that it almost becomes a real pressure, and then that's not as enjoyable. And I did give up the gym a while back because we were going away for an extended time, and I thought, well, there's no point paying that. And then I decided, I actually rather be outside. I'd rather be outside doing exercise, whether it be in the pool or going for a bike ride or a walk or those incidental ones. If you've got a bike, I love my bike, and I'm happy to ride to someone's house. So there's that incident. It gives you that goal. You're going somewhere. It's not that endless. I'm just riding around, or I'm on a stationary bike pretending I might be going somewhere, because there's an end point or a goal for me. So getting on the bike is just that way of getting there, and it's that incidental type of exercise that I go, well, it's a bit of exercise. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. Yeah, you got to do what you enjoy and what's going to make it achievable for you. And it could be a mixture of things. And I think luckily enough, there is enough, different resources out there that you should be able to find something that you love. You know what I mean? If you don't want to go to a gym, you can have a few little tiny bits and pieces at home. You can use your body weight. You can have your bike. You can do your gardening. You can find somewhere to swim if that's what you enjoy. There's so many different, channels online with different styles of workouts that you can do at home. So many different types of programs. There really is no excuse for people not to be finding ways, or a variety of ways, to be moving your body in a way that you can enjoy. Get out and try some new things, explore some, new styles of training or new styles of moving your body, because when you can find, ways that you personally enjoy, it's going to make it a lot easier to get that consistency. And that's what it is. You're not who you are based on one workout. How you are at 90 is not going to be based on the one workout you might do today. It's going to be all the workouts that you do, or all the ways that you move your body between now and then. So you've got to find something that you really enjoy doing, or a variety of things that you can do to move your body. And think of it too as when you are moving your body, it's time where you want to be dedicating as much as possible. You know what I mean? You want to be focusing, okay, this 20 minutes is a time where I'm really connecting with my body. I'm really feeling into whatever movement it is. What am I feeling in my muscles? What am I feeling in my joints? It's 20 minutes that you should be getting to know your body better. And I think a lot of people miss that I mean, yes, because we're all multitasking, and I love listening to either music or a podcast or something, when I'm working out. But we also really want to be utilizing that time to be as present as we can and not doing 57 other things while we're doing it, because then you really are missing the opportunity to really work out what's best for you. Because a lot of the time, some people are doing exercises that really don't serve them because that's just what they think they have to do. And that might not feel 100% right, but they're too busy doing other things that they're not even realizing that they're out of alignment when they do their lunges, or it doesn't quite feel right in the knee. And, you're just continually doing these things. And over time, it might not actually be serving your body, which is where if you can be really tuning in and getting to know your body, you'll also be able to sense the results a lot more. You'll notice when you're becoming more flexible. You'll notice when you're getting deeper and a greater range in your muscles. You'll really feel that you're feeling stronger if you're paying attention. And when you start to notice these things, it gives you that little bit of extra momentum, that little bit of more excitement into what you're doing. And you want to give yourself every reason to be engaged in the process, to be excited by the process, to reinforce the fact that, yes, bit by bit, you can see the results coming your way. But a lot of people miss it. And then they think, oh, what's the point? I'm not getting anywhere. No, you were. You just missed the signs and signals that your body was giving you because you were too busy mentally being elsewhere than mentally being really present whilst you were moving your body.
Awesome. And I love the way that you say that, moving your body as opposed to exercise or, I know you use the word workout a bit, but that whole concept of moving your body, it's not about, massive weights and things like that. It's about moving your body, and that will help whatever we do. We know sitting on our backsides in front of computers is enough to just really drain your energy. Apart from all the, the screen that, that you're getting off that light, but just sitting. And I actually ended up with a stand-up desk, so I could do the moving of the body, or while I'm working, I can just move. But it's just those little things that are working, and then having that mind-body connection to listen to your body. I love that, the way that's, what you're putting across there, that how we're thinking and what we're concentrating on will have an impact. And what we do in our 30s exercise-wise isn't necessarily going to be what we want to do in our 60s and 70s. And so if you feel like this is the only way it will work, then you're a little bit stuck in your 60s and 70s, because it might not be. Yeah. So just having that concept that as long as you're moving your body, you're actually doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you are listening to those signs and signals, that's really, really important. Even just simple things like you're saying, when you're standing and you're doing work, how are you standing? You know what I mean? We've lost that awareness, I think, of basic things. Where is the pressure on your feet? Is it further towards the toes? Is it back into the heels? Is it in? Is it out? Your knees, your hips? One of the things that I think most people don't even realize right throughout is actually what good posture is. And what is good posture? If you don't know what good posture is, you're certainly not going to know when you start to move away from it. When you start talking about, people later on in their 70s, 80s and 90s, like if you think in your head about what a majority of people, look like at that age, I wouldn't exactly say that ideal posture is high in the majority. So, but when did that start happening? That happened many, 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 many years ago, and nobody just noticed that they were slowly deviating from ideal posture, because people don't know what ideal posture is. And if you're doing a lot of driving, or you're doing a lot of sitting at the keyboard, or a lot of holding of the phone, or any sort of job where you're doing stuff in this space here, then you are moving away from ideal posture. That's without even going to the lower body. You are absolutely, every time you're in those positions, moving away from ideal posture. And so that's where, again, getting to know your body more from a lot of these different aspects can really help, because you can start then to tap into the signs and signals when you have been sitting down for a while. You're feeling the tightness. You're feeling that you're getting tight, and you're getting tight because you're doing a lot of this, and you're getting loose here and tight in here because you're constantly here, or doing all of this out here, and you need to work on doing a few simple things to open out through the chest, to stretch back and up with the neck, because otherwise, classically, that's where a lot of people struggle. They get the rounded shoulders, they get the forward head posture, and then when you're in your 90s, you're all hunched over and walking around all hunched over, and that's exactly the pattern that can snowball into that situation. But again, we're not thinking about our body when we're in those moments. We're just so busy. We have our to-do list through the day, the workload that we all put on ourselves when we do sit down to work or we do go about our days. Our mind is just constantly outside of ourselves or on the tasks that we need to do, that we don't take those few minutes every hour, or have that little break and get up and move around and have a stretch and drink some water. And I think that's so important, that we need to find ways moving forward to lighten our load a little bit, so that we can free ourselves up to bring our mind back into our bodies. We should be having multiple times during the day where we are consciously just breathing, just coming, bringing our awareness back into our body, taking some conscious breaths, and then scanning our bodies. Where do we feel tight? Where are we? Where could I just do a little movement? Where could I do some tapping, a stretch, some water, to just then reset, check in with what I need, and then move forward with the day. I think it's really important that we all should strive to be, popping those moments into our days as regularly as we can, because just that getting to know yourself and looking out for those signs and signals and those little preventative strategies that you're then doing to compensate, modern day living, which we all get trapped in from time to time. But unless we're aware of the potential for that years down the track, if we have that knowledge, then we can be actively, making sure that we are laying stronger foundations now, so that we can be in a better position when we're in our 80s and 90s, down the track.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, my little spot is in the car. Take a big breath, take a few big breaths. That's a trigger for me. Hopefully for everyone else, maybe after, now we're signing off, that everyone else will take that moment after listening to this to just have that breath, take some time out, lay on the floor, do whatever, and just remember to breathe. And that body movement is still good for us, whatever it is and however it is that you do it. It's just moving the body. Mel, thank you. I loved all of that you've got to say. There's so much advice in there, so many little nuggets for people to perhaps take on. And coming from your background and your expertise, I mean, there's just so much there that they can walk away with. And I really, really appreciate your time, because you do have lots on, as well as that whole juggle.
Juggle,
your experience,
absolutely.
your knowledge, and I love, it's really great to see, even that some of these, you're noticing it more in the sports arena, that they are starting to understand that whole mind-body concept, and that whole belief thing is really that's probably where they need to work the most to even gain the wins that they're looking forward. So thanks, Mel. So everyone, thank you for joining us, and please, I'm sure you got a lot out of what Mel's had to say and some ideas and experiences that she's been through, even with your kids, and how to work with them to perhaps raise those energy levels, vibration levels that are probably all feeling a little bit lower at the moment. I know I've sort of gone through some of those moments, and but being that awareness and trying to find things that I know will bring things up again. So please share this, like, subscribe, and we've got some more coming up as well to learn from. I love learning from different people because we all have such different backgrounds, perspectives, our belief systems influence how we perceive things, and so learning and being open to all these ideas is wonderful. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Deb. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.